So I'm Peggy Bartlett. I'm a registered dietitian, have my master's degree in nutrition. I'm licensed by the state of Pennsylvania, registered nationally. I'm the food service director here at Upper Merion Area School District. I've been here about a year and a half and have been challenged already because of so many changes in the National School Lunch Program. And when I was much younger, it was a fairly new science and a lot of new interest in nutrition at the time. So it was a great time to get involved with nutrition and food service in general and all that kind of thing. And so it was just fascinating because the USDA is the organization that really run the National School Lunch Program. So if you are a school that takes any funds from the National School Lunch Program, you have to follow all the National School Lunch Program guidelines. Michelle Obama had a large part in it, and lots of other important people too. But the regulations have changed drastically over the last few years. I think they're all excellent changes. It's just hard to do at this point in time. But there are calorie limits. So there's how many calories you can serve children, different amounts for different age groups. And then in those calorie restrictions, there's fat restrictions. There can be no trans fat in any of the foods. Saturated fat has to be less than 10%. Sodium is now restricted. It's almost like a 10-year slow process of restricting sodium just at the very beginning of it. Probably the biggest problem with it or challenge to it is finding foods out there that don't have the sodium in it. Manufacturers really aren't even producing foods yet that are low in sodium as we need. How we're managing here is to start doing some more scratch cooking. If you look 40 years ago, school cafeterias did all their own cooking. And over the past 40 years or so, they've started buying purchased foods, which of course is higher in sodium and had less staff and just was more like heat and serve than actual scratch cooking. But now that with sodium restrictions, you almost have to do a lot more cooking. So we've started doing, a lot more cooking and making things that, the kitchen hasn't made for quite a while. So it's kind of interesting. And I think that's happening everywhere too. It's really a no-brainer sort of thing. We have to do it. I mean, we take the funds from the National School Lunch Program, so these are the regulations we have to follow. It's, if you want to play, you got to pay, and that's just all there is to it. So even though there may be a few people who think, this is, much more troublesome than it used to be, it's quite clear that this is what we have to do, so. Actually, one of my favorite things about the job is that, there's school food service directors all around. And generally, it's a group who likes to share information and who is absolutely willing to do that, whether it's very, just on the phone kind of thing or through different professional seminars and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of sharing going on right now, that's for sure. As time has progressed, that students and parents and staff and administration is all getting more and more used to just hearing menus that are a little bit different than maybe what they had heard before, and just becoming more aware of the fact that we play a major role in growing kids up healthy and having them eat well. So I think pretty much schools are pretty committed to it.
Because of you and your colleagues across the country today, tens of millions of children are eating healthier school meals that finally meet modern nutrition standards. Standards, by the way, that were developed by experts at the Institute of Medicine and based on sound science. And I know that this type of major transformation of our nation's school lunch program hasn't been easy. The truth is that when it came to the food being served in our schools, we had our work cut out for us. This is what I tell myself. in 10 or 20 years, I don't want to look back with regret and think that we gave up on our kids because we felt like this thing was too hard or too expensive. We owe our kids way more than that.